personally led by its prophet. There's something very perverse about that.
According to Wikidi, the messenger went out on a Ghazwa raid at the head of 200 of his companions in October 623 and reached Buwat. His intention was to intercept a Quraysh caravan with 100 men and 2,500 camels.
This expedition was neither a military operation nor was it defensive, and it most assuredly wasn't religious. It was an act of terrorism against a civilian economic activity, and the pirate was after booty. The Hadith reports,
In this year Muhammad set forth the emigrants to intercept a Quraysh caravan en route to Syria. His war banner was carried by Hamza.
It also failed. The score was Muslim militants 0, infidels 10. Unfortunately, Islam would get far better at this game than they ever got at religion.
Ishaq and Tabari. Ali and I were with the messenger on the Ghazwa at Ushaira. We halted on one occasion and saw some men of the Banu Mudi working in one of their date groves. I said, "Why don't we go and see how they work?" So we went and watched them for a while. Then we felt drowsy and went to sleep on the dusty ground under the trees. Muhammad woke us, arriving as we were covered in dust. He stirred Ali with his foot and said, "Arise, O dusty one! Shall I tell you who was the most wretched man? Ammar of Thamud, for he slaughtered the she-camel, and he shall strike you here." Muhammad put his hand on the side of Ali's head until he was soaked from it. Then he grabbed his beard.
The Quran claims that the Thamudic nation was destroyed by Allah because someone hamstrung a camel. While it's odd that he liked camels more than men, there's a bigger perversion still in this tale of misplaced ambition. The Muslims were so unfamiliar with honest labor, they went to watch someone work. And they were so lazy, they fell asleep while they were doing it. Ultimately, that is why the pirates were there in the first place. When the bedraggled Muslim refugees migrated north, they became dependent upon handouts. They were physically able to do work, since they went off on terrorist raids, and the oasis town of Yathrib was a bustling agricultural and commercial center, so there was plenty of work being done. All of which leads to a conclusion. Something in Islam made the Muslims unwilling to work, and it affects them to this day. Islamic states have the lowest per capita productivity of any nations in the world. Islam politically and economically is as faulty as the religion is false. It's lose-lose.
Ishaq. Meanwhile, the apostle sent Sa'd on the raid of Abu Waqas. The prophet only stayed a few nights in Medina before raiding Ushaira and then Kurs.
Let's review Bukhari's Book of Maghazi to get a better feel for what's happening.
Bukhari. Allah's apostle said, "A time will come when a group of Muslims will wage holy war, and it will be said, 'Is there anyone who has accompanied Allah's apostle?' They will say, 'Yes,' and so victory will be bestowed upon them." The apostle said, "Tomorrow I will give the flag to a man whose leadership Allah will use to grant a Muslim victory." I fought in 7 Ghazwat battles along with the Prophet, and fought in 9 Maghazi raids in armies dispatched by the Prophet.
There was nothing spiritual about fundamental Islam.
Bukhari. I heard Sa'd saying, "I was the first Arab to shoot an arrow in Allah's cause." I witnessed a scene that was dearer to me than anything I had ever seen. Aswad came to the Prophet while Muhammad was urging Muslims to fight the pagans. He said, "We shall fight on your right and on your left, and in front of you and behind you." I saw the face of the Prophet getting bright with happiness, for that saying delighted him. Bukhari. The believers who did not join in the Ghazwa and those who fought are not equal in reward. Allah's apostle said, "When your enemy comes near, shoot at them, but use your arrows sparingly, so that they are not wasted." Allah's wrath became severe on anyone the Prophet killed in Allah's cause.
While the terrorist raids were hardly religious, religious symbolism and rewards were used to solicit and inspire the new combatants.
Bukhari. Muhammad led the fear prayer with one batch of his army, while the other batch faced the enemy. Bukhari. The prophet said, "This is Gabriel holding the head of his horse, equipped with arms for battle." Allah's apostle used to say, "None has the right to be worshipped except Allah alone, because He has honored His warriors and made His messengers victorious. He alone defeated the infidel clans, so there is nothing left." Bukhari. A man came to the prophet and said, "Can you tell me where I will go if I get martyred?" The prophet replied, "To paradise." The man fought till he was martyred.
There are no such bargains in Yahweh's scriptures. Killing is not an express ticket to heaven. Yeshua never asked his followers to slay anyone. The Messiah mentions killing only once. He tells a parable about a ruler in the final days of the tribulation to encourage his followers to be productive, not destructive. In the Torah, Yahweh asked the Israelites to kill once. He told Moses and Joshua to remove those poisoned by the Canaanite religion from the land. They were like Muhammad's Muslims, immoral, terrorizing, plundering, enslaving, and murdering. Their religion was as corrupt as Islam, equally demonic. Yahweh recognized it was more compassionate to exterminate some Canaanites than it was to allow them to seduce millions. He made the right call, but the Jews failed to execute his order. Let's consider Yahweh's moral justification for fighting. Imagine you were God, and you knew the 1,000 people most responsible for the September 11th suicide bombings. You know that they have been poisoned to believe that mass murder is a service to you. Left alone, they will corrupt and murder thousands. Would you kill them before they perpetrated these crimes, or would you let them go ahead? Now move back in time to the dawn of the 20th century. As usual, the world is full of bad people and bad ideas, but two doctrines are especially lethal: communism and Nazism. Because you've read their manifestos and have maneuvered in time, you know what's going to happen. Within 3 decades, these dictatorial, intolerant, and violent dogmas will lead directly to the annihilation of over 50 million people, and to the indoctrination of 1 billion more. Given the opportunity, would you exterminate a few thousand aspiring communists and Nazis to save the lives of 50 million their regimes butchered? Would you do it to save 1 billion people from being forced into submission, forced to live in civil, religious, intellectual, and economic poverty? Would you do it to keep them from growing strong enough to kill you, your neighbors, and your children? What's the most moral, just, and compassionate choice? Perhaps now you know why Yahweh ordered his people to slay the practitioners of a doctrine virtually identical to Islam. But don't get carried away. His last command to kill was 3,200 years ago. His command wasn't open-ended. It was directed at a specific group of people, in a specific time, in a specific place. Apart from self-defense, that's the end of the story. So, when you hear Muslims defend their violent doctrine, saying that the Bible is equally warlike, you'll know the truth. Yahweh asked once. He identified the reason and the people. His order wasn't open-ended either. And even if it were, there are no Canaanites to kick around. What's more, the Jews were expressly forbidden from taking a spoil. When the walls of Jericho fell, its storehouses remained filled. Children were not sent off into slavery. Women were not raped as if they were booty. The Judeo-Christian scriptures have to be corrupted to inspire such horrible acts. Allah, by contrast, gave Muslims hundreds of commands to kill. His orders were open-ended, surviving throughout time, and his intended victims were many. Those who worshipped the one true God, many gods, or no gods at all. Allah especially hated Christians and Jews, ordering Muslims to fight them until they were wiped out to the last. This is fundamental Islam, the very core of Muhammad's message. That said, there is one Bible verse that appears to be both open-ended and to encourage violence.